In this video I'm going to be showing you how I create a wood engraving. I'm not a teacher, but I just think sometimes the best way to learn is to watch others. So I got a block a bit like this one. This is a block of Lemonwood. I put my design on and I washed drawing ink over the top. So I'm going to take you through today how I engraved it, what tools I used, and the kind of techniques I use. I've been wood engraving for about 7 years now, I think. So I feel like I've kind of picked up my own technique. Most wood engravers, I believe, use a sandbag, so they rest their block on a sandbag when they work, allowing them to rotate the block, and also helps them to make sure their hands are beneath the block to keep them safe. I don't use one of those. I never have. I have one, I just haven't used it. I make sure I never engrave towards my hand, so if I slip, the wood will be damaged, but not my hand. If I am engraving towards my hand will be below the block. Before I started learning wood engraving, I thought wood engraving was the same as Japanese woodcut, which uses tools a little bit more like this, which is a V or U-shaped gouge. You'd use these for lino as well. I'm going to be showing you today these C Lyons wood engraving tools, which are a little bit more like a chisel. Wood engraving differs from woodcut because it's on hardwood and it's on the end grain, whereas woodcut tends to be on softwood on the long grain. So they're the main differences. Woodcut, I'd say, is a lot more similar to lino, and then wood engraving is still a relief printing technique, but it's quite different from those two. Although I found when I was learning wood engraving, I was able to really quite easily transfer my skills in lino cutting to wood engraving. The first tool I'm going to show you is the Spitsticker, which is like probably my most used tool. You can go around corners with it, you can go in straight lines, you use it a little bit like you'd use a pencil. So here I'm just outlining the puffins on this block. I'm also outlining the land in the background. And also a Spitsticker is really lovely for creating textures in things like fur and feathers. So by taking away the wood, I'm making sure that these areas won't print, although I'm leaving some small bits of wood between my strokes so that you get that kind of feathery texture. And I didn't want the backs of the puffins to just be solid black, so I'm just adding in a little bit of detail here. Spitstickers are really good for adding details like grass as well. And then in the background there, I'm using a stippling effect where I'm placing my tool into the wood and then flicking it up to create little marks in the wood. A really fun way to use the Spitsticker is to push it into the wood and then either spin the wood or spin the tool. I'm spinning the wood here, and you create little perfect dots. The next tool that I'm showing you is the square scorper. So the end of this is very square. It's good for clearing large areas or creating bold marks. It comes in quite a few different sizes. I'd say if you're only getting one, to get a medium size one. I'm using it here to remove the chest of the birds because I want this very edge of the birds to be completely white when it prints. And then I'm using the Spitsticker again just to blend these two areas together. Next up is the round scorper, which is very similar to the square scorper but has a rounded end to it, so it has slightly softer marks. Again, this comes in a variety of sizes. I'd say like a medium size if you were just getting one with a suit. So here I'm using it the same way I did with the Spitsticker earlier. I'm creating dots in the wood. And then I'm using it again to create slightly more organic shapes, just removing small areas of the wood. I'm working on the sky now, so I'm removing the bits of the clouds that I want very white and doing this in quite an abstract way, just trying to make it look organic. It does create a really nice bold mark, this tool. Next up is the multi-tool. This is probably my favourite tool to use just because it's fun. It has multiple grooves in the tool so that when you engrave you get multiple parallel lines at once, which is really nice for covering larger areas quickly and creating cross-hatching effects too. I find the ones with lots of parallel lines that are quite big quite hard to use because I'm often slipping because there's a lot of resistance and I don't use them so much. So the ones with 5, 4 or 2 parallel lines I find I use the most. So I'm starting by engraving the C. Engraving towards the edge of your block like this can be a bit risky as the wood can be brittle at the edge and then you don't have a very clean line when you print. I'm using the Spitsticker here just to finish off the lines towards the back of the puffin because if I used the multi-tool that way I'd probably engrave the back, so I'm just carefully finishing off the lines. And now I'm working on the sky. I'd say the sky is normally my favourite bit of each print just because it's really fun and not restrictive. You can kind of engrave it however you like. The more wood you take away, the lighter the block is going to be, so I'm trying to create areas of light and shade to depict clouds in the sky. And lastly, with the multi-tool with just 2 lines, I'm adding a little bit of texture on the land in the background. So that's the block finished. I'll show you me printing it in a moment. But I'm just going to talk to you about 2 more tools that I own but don't use very often. So these tools are the tint tool, which is a very thin tool used to create very straight lines. I think before the multi-tool came about you'd use this for the sky, but I don't use it very often. The lines tend to be very fine and therefore I find them quite tricky to print. And then we've got the square graver, which creates really nice bold lines. They're the same width as they are deep. A really nice tool, but because I've only owned it for a year, I never think to pick it up and use it because I never had one before. But I might use it in the future, but I just wanted to shout out here because I think quite a lot of wood engravers use this a lot. When it comes to sharpening my tools, I use a ceramic stone. So this is a more coarse side and then this is finer. You're meant to sharpen them often. I've got to say I'm not so good at doing that, but you should. So here is the print. I'm probably going to be working back into it again and just fixing up a few little bits. But it's turned out quite sweet and I'll probably release this on my shop in probably March when I do my first print release of the year. If you're interested, head to my website and sign up to my newsletter so you get an email when it's available. If you're just starting out with wood engraving and you feel a bit overwhelmed by how many tools there are, I'd recommend a Spitsticker. Go for a small one, I'd say, because you'll probably want to get quite a lot of detail in. And if you're starting out, I'm guessing you'll be using relatively small blocks because the blocks aren't cheap. And then if you could just go for 2 tools, I'd say go for a medium square scorper as well, or a round scorper, but probably a square scorper I use more often. Probably for the first 18 months, these were kind of the 2 tools I used, and then from there I got a multi-tool, and now I'd say these are the 3 tools I use the most. I do use a round scorper a bit, but not as often as these 3. I know how tempting it is to go out and just buy all the tools when you're excited about something, but yeah, if you just can afford to, go for a small Spitsticker and a medium square scorper. If you've got a little bit extra, go for probably like a 4 or 5 line multi-tool as well. They do come with numbers on the bottom, but I have removed most of these because they annoy me when I'm engraving. So wherever you buy them, there should be a description on the website of kind of what kind of tool you're getting. I hope that was a helpful and interesting video. I do really believe that watching someone work is a really great way to learn. More videos are coming soon. There's a video of me working outside on Dartmoor coming up. There's a video of me weaving discarded prints and creating collages coming up. So yeah, do subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more. I will do a video about the printing of my wood blocks at some point too. And if you want to know anything else, please leave a comment below. I just realised that people have been asking to see more of Winnie and she hasn't featured at all in this video. So here she is, very sleepy. I've just got her out of her bed. So yeah, we'll be back soon with some more videos.